tips and tricks. Here we go. Okay. So this is going to be minimal. I'm just going to talk a little bit on top of this, but I want to just have something in a visual so people could, I like to read stuff too. It's like having subtitles. Okay. So first off, right, like who is in a cut? There's two ways that you could be classified like as in a diet. One, the person that's just massively overeating, right? They come to me, they log, 3,000 calories a day. Obviously, they don't need to reverse. They don't need to get into really maintenance. They can go right into a cut. So that's option one. That's not really many of us here. That is a couple, right? So they're in a cut. They might not realize that, but that's still a cut, right? Like they didn't have to earn it. They kind of just got there. And then the second person, which is most of us, maintenance, yes, hold that right. Are people that have reversed, gotten their calories back up, and sat at maintenance for usually minimum at 6 weeks. And I usually don't even let people cut before then unless their reverse like took a while. But like just for example, I've been at maintenance now for like 7 months, right? Like you don't just cut because you hit that 6 week mark. That's just not how it works. That's just again the bare minimum. Uh I've said this in multiple Zooms before, right? You want to sit in maintenance for the majority of your life. So just because you hit the 6 weeks doesn't mean you should be cutting. You should be trying to do all that you can in maintenance. So if you are seeing body changes in maintenance, even if the scale is not necessarily going down, but you're seeing, definition and muscle changes and body recomp, there's really no need to cut. Yes, I know summer's coming, so that's like a little bit of a push for people. And they want to maybe lose a little body fat before that, so you can do like a little bit of a mini cut. But just because you think it's time, right, doesn't mean that you should enter a cut. Maintenance is an amazing thing, and you can manipulate maintenance a lot. We'll do another Zoom on maintenance, but because most of us have, not most of us, but a good amount of us have earned our time here, we'll get into it. So earned their cut. And what I mean by earned, right, is so the more often you diet, which 90% of us are fad diet experts. Like if you go back and look at your history of life, probably starting since you were 14 years old, 12 to 14 years old, right? You've probably been dieting. Okay. I remember dieting for prom. I had like a bag of Snyder's pretzels and yogurt for lunch, like at my, my cafeteria. So that in my head was dieting, right? I did juice cleanses. I did 24-hour fasts. I did all the stuff under the sun. The more often you do that, the smarter your body gets. So it's like, oh, I recognize this. She's trying to cut calories. I'm going to slow down. Ha, nice try, right? Like our bodies are very smart. So the more often you do it, the more it's going to get better at adapting, and it's going to fight you on that diet. Your body doesn't want you to lose weight, to cut calories. It wants to keep you plump and healthy, right? Because of what I said last week, in case the herd runs away, you'll survive. Right? So the more you diet, the more your body adapts. So we have to trick your body that you're done with that dieting phase. You've moved on, you've grown up. Okay, you're going to feed it for a long time now. Right? If you haven't been eating enough calories, your body's already slowed itself down, and you're going to have to enter a dramatic deficit to see changes. Okay, so a lot of us came to me and Coach Steph eating like 1,200 calories, 900 calories, 1,100 calories, right? You weren't losing weight. You were really confused. Well, it's because your body got used to that. And in order to lose weight from that point, you'd have to go to like 600 calories. Okay. Not even a newborn really should be on that. Okay. So that's when people get really upset when they come, they're overweight. They come to us, they log their food, they're eating 1,200 calories. And I tell them, because I will absolutely never do that as a coach. We'll part ways. There's no chance that I'm going to put you in a deficit right now, because you can't be. That will literally be starving yourself, and it's going to do such damage on your metabolism and inner health. That's not going to happen. So you have to be at a safe caloric intake before you can cut. So that's another thing, right? It's going to completely damage your inner health. And I think a lot of us have kind of grown to see that just by the fact that you're eating low calories, but yet you're overweight. Like something doesn't add up there. Again, you also have to like take with a grain of salt what people log. A lot of times people are off. Um, they'll put in things that, they have no idea on weights, which is a hard thing to learn. They'll add things from MyFitnessPal that have like 0 calories sometimes, right? So you have to take a little bit with that. But for the most part, a lot of us were under eating, and there's just no way that I'm ever going to tell a grown adult to eat less than like the minimum if you're tiny is like 1400 calories. Um, you never want to get below your BMR, right? So if you go to the internet and you type in BMR, which is your base metabolic rate, is when you lay in bed at night, or if you just laid in bed, if you were bedridden, how many calories would your body burn just to stay alive? So that's not moving, that's not eating, that's not, doing anything besides laying and breathing and having your internal organs function. So you should never go below that. So if my BMR right now at, 5'3", 150 is 1400 calories, there is no way that I should ever eat below that, because that means I'm hurting my insides. That means something is like my digestion, my reproduction, my brain, my heart, something is losing because I'm not feeding it, right? So you never want to go below that. Right. So if you like are in a cut and you're like, can we lower calories even more? If it goes below your BMR, not gonna happen. Okay. All right. And then you can't really grow muscle in a cut. Now there's of course like the newbie gains that sometimes if you're in a cut and you've never lifted a weight before, you'll start to see some definition, right? And that's very, very rare, but you can't gain muscle in a cut. Sometimes you feel like you got shredded because you lost body fat and you just revealed the muscle you had, right? Like you just revealed the foundation. Um, you didn't gain that muscle. You didn't grow it while eating 1200 calories. You just cut the body fat off of it, the muscle you already had. That's why maintenance is so important. You're growing your foundation, right? If you stay in maintenance for 6 weeks and then you cut, you're going to reveal loose, right? You're going to reveal skinny fat. I mean, yeah, the scale might go down a little bit, but you're not going to show like these muscles or this tightness that you probably want. So we have to make sure that we took time in maintenance to grow the foundation that we wanted. And that's why I talk a ton about intensity when you work out. Because even if you think you spent time in the gym, if you're not pushing to that effort, once you cut, you're still not really going to see the muscle or the definition that you want, right? And I don't, I know the term might not be the nicest thing to say, but no one wants skinny fat. Okay. I've never been skinny fat, but I'm sorry if that hurts anyone's feelings. All right. So that's why you have to earn it. Any questions on like BMR or time and maintenance or anything like that?
Okay, I have a question, but you couldn't hear me because I was muted.
No, yeah.
Um,
Sorry.
all right, so I did the body scan,
Right.
and so like when I because I use the Chrometer one, the Chrometer. I like that one a lot better than my Fitness Pal.
Team Mindy.
So and I just doing a lot like on the web version and trying to like understand what everything was because there's a lot of like lots of stuff. So, and that's when I did come across the BMR. And so it gave me one number, like when I put in my height, my weight, everything. I went online, I put that in. But when I did the body scan, I noticed that that had a BMR in there too. Should
Yes.
I use the BMR from the body scan? Is that like a good one that I could use, or should I use like
No, so that's a great question. The body scan BMR is probably going to be a little bit more accurate because it sees your body fat and your muscle. So I'm not sure if you were able to put like if you just do height, weight, and age, it really has no idea what you're made up of, right? So
right?
if I put in 34, 5'3", 150, and someone else is 34, 5'3", 150, you guys know that we could look very different, right? Everyone's seen that picture I showed you, right, of two bodies that are weighed the same. So our BMR is going to be different because muscle does burn more than fat, even when it's just laying in a bed. It's not going to be drastic, but it could be a couple hundred calories, which is pretty significant. So if you just put in height, weight, and age, it's like the best guess it could be. I'm assuming it just kind of takes like the average of the American person. I don't actually even know what it does for that.
Okay.
If you can put in a guess of your body fat, which you can on that in body, that'll give you a better guess. So I would choose that over the like the mathematic one online.
Okay. Yeah, and I did find in the app where I can override what they populate. So
Perfect. Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Good question.
Okay, that was my question.
No, that's a good one, right? Like body composition matters.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a dramatic difference of what muscle. I think it's like 7 calories an hour or something like that. But shit,
But
I'll
that's a good example of like when you get those BMI like charts at the doctor and they like try to follow it, and it really doesn't even make any sense because everybody's different. So
yeah.
it's, I feel like it's more accurate if the scan actually can see you.
Right. Like according to the doctors, I think I'm overweight, close to obese.
I've been
That's just
obese my
crazy.
whole life, then according to the doctor.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So moving on. All right. So what is a cut? I know this is probably like duh, but I teach high school, so nothing is duh. You are eating less than you burn, right? That's what a cut is. You are continually eating less than you burn. It's not just like one day. It is a planned thing though. It's not just like calories, right? Yes, of course you can do calories, but in our sense, we're going to make sure our macros are balanced in that cut. And I'll get into that a little bit later on, what is best for a cut with macro balance. But simple enough, it's eating less than you burn. Um, it's less than your TDEE. So it's not less than your BMR. It's less than your total daily energy expenditure, which means how much you burn if you were to get out of bed, right? If you were to get out of bed and you were to eat food and you were to do your steps and if you were to work out, stuff like that. So it's eating less than that, not eating less than vegetable. Okay. So the higher TDE you have, the more you can eat on your cut because of that. But it's eating less than you burn with all that included. Okay. It is also known as a diet. It's also, well, I guess not really a diet because everything's a diet. Diet just means what you eat. But it's also known as a caloric deficit. Okay. They can let there. So this is, I guess, like the written rule, 8 to 12 weeks. They can literally last. I went on a, I went on a cut for a solid 2 weeks in January. Um, I was on like my 13th day and I was like, why am I doing this? I'm done. And I went back to maintenance. So it can last 2 weeks if you quit, or it can last up to like 4 to 5 months too. If your biofeedback is good, you're still sleeping, you feel good in the gym, nothing's getting sacrificed and you're still seeing changes in the scale, it can go on. People that can last longer in cuts are the ones that have higher TDE. So right, like my maintenance right now is 2,400. I could cut at 2,000 calories. I'm probably not going to see a lot of poor biofeedback eating 2,000 calories. That's more than 3/4 of you guys eat normally, right? So the fact that I've worked my maintenance so high, I could last in a longer cut because I'm not really going to sacrifice as much. But if your maintenance is like 1,800 and I can only cut you to 1,500, right? And that's, 1,500 is pretty low, right? No one's BMR is that much less than that. You're probably not going to be able to stay that low for a long period of time without seeing some sort of side effects. And because a lot of you are really pushing really hard in the gym, you're going to start to see it there. You're going to start to not sleep as well. You might even notice like your skin not being as glowy and stuff. But um, it's really very dependent on your biofeedback, how things are going. Is the scale moving? Is your recovery not going as well? All that stuff. So for my ladies that are entering a cut, I'm gonna be picky with those stress, sleep, energy. I'm gonna ask you a lot about your biofeedback because I know a lot of us just throw numbers in there, which I was guilty of. But in a cut, they're actually very important. Try and be in tune with your body as like, in tune as you can be. Because we don't want you damaging your internal health that a lot of you have worked hard to get better. So really try and think of, am I sleeping as good? Like, how do my lifts feel? Am I sore longer? All that stuff. I'm going to ask you a lot about that just because that's a big indicator. Um, I know I personally struggle with being in tune with my body. I I just me and my body are not one. Um,
How did
but
you get the calories so high? Is it how much you work out?
Yeah, it's the fact that I'm so dense too, and the fact that I've never really in the past like 6 years, I've never really dieted that hard. So I've just progressively pushed my maintenance and my body like just accepts it, I guess.
Is it your age?
Age doesn't really have a ton to do. Like, I've been listening to a lot of like podcasts and stuff on, menopause and perimenopause and stuff. And like, it's really, if you do the right things, age really does not affect metabolism that much. So, of course, like a 20-year-old is going to be different than like a 70-year-old. But once you get over that, like I'm technically in the perimenopausal age group. It's pretty much the same now until long time. But the fact that I have a lot of my muscle is pretty high. I do a lot of steps. And again, I haven't really dieted all that much, so my body trusts me, gets my intake higher.
Mm.
And so, and again, I'm sure there's also definitely like DNA parts in that too. Like that's not just because I work out really hard and I'm dense, but um, yeah. And I honestly like and I've gotten over the part of the scale too. Like, so I'm okay if I weighed 160. I'm okay if I weigh 170 and still look okay. So that lets me push it further. Like everyone's very nervous on the scale, so they don't push their maintenance. That's how I was until like literally this past October. I never pushed past 1900 because I was just really nervous about the scale. And then, my new coach was like, push past it. Let's see. And my body didn't, and I finally like the scale went up a little bit, but my body didn't really change that much. I just looked stronger. So that got my mental side with that too. Like a lot of you probably are still on your low end of your maintenance. But we can play with that when the sweater weather comes back. We don't have to play with that in the summer. And another thing with a cut, 0.5 to 1 pound a week is ideal. We are not looking to lose like 3 pounds a week. Okay. That's not healthy. That's way too fast. You would literally disappear within 6 months. Like you just wouldn't be here. And the less you have to lose, the slower it's going to go. Even 0.25 a week is like the fact that you're just losing, right? A continuous trend down is good. We're not trying to push it crazy because then that cuts into your biofeedback. That's going to mess up something, right? Nothing like I learned this like in economics in high school. There's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Like something is giving. You're not losing weight without giving something else. And it might not be significant and it might not be a big deal because like losing weight is fine if it's done right, but something else is sacrificing, right? And that's why we have to keep an eye on that. We don't want to lose a ton. Again, if you have a lot of weight to lose, then yes, we can lose a little bit faster. But you also have to realize that's going to slow down. If you start off losing 2 pounds a week, that's gonna plateau a little bit. It's gonna slow down. Don't think the diet's not working anymore because now you only lost 1 pound this week. The diet's also, still working, even if the scale goes up 1 week, right? It's never, ever gonna look like this every day. It's just not. Periods, poops, salt, sodium, stress, sleep is going to send the scale. It's going to be like this, which is fine. As long as the line goes down, okay, if you look at the averages, that's a win. Okay, so also we can't think it's not working if the scale is going up, even for like a week, okay, because things regulate, right? Your body starts to learn and then you do something else. And there's different things we can do to manipulate cuts as well. More cardio, lowering your eating window, which I'll get into. Also realize it's not a time for muscle growth. We are still going to work out hard because if we don't, we lessen our TDE, which makes the cut not as significant, right? So if I go into a diet and I'm like, well, I'm not going to grow muscle, so I'm just going to lift at like a 2 RPE. Well, then you're not working as hard. And now what we thought was your maintenance. So we thought you were burning 2000 calories. So we cut you to 1500. Now you're only burning 1800 calories. So now the cut's even smaller. So we have to still work out hard. We are not going to be able to push the weight that we did with eating 2400 calories. We're just not going to have the energy. You might be able to get close. And randomly one day you might feel strong as hell. But for the most part, we're not growing muscle because we don't have the extra calories to grow it from, right? Muscle doesn't grow on trees. We have to give it something. And if we're not giving it calories, it's not just going to appear. fat and muscle don't like go into each other. So like if you burn fat, it doesn't turn into muscle. And if you lose muscle, it doesn't turn into fat. They're two completely separate things. They don't turn into one another. Okay, so that's not something that we're going to be doing. Again, doesn't mean we don't work out though. We do want to maintain the muscle we have. Oh, someone's in here. Hold on.
CJ, so I just wanted to, because you were talking about all this, obviously, because I had a client asking me about a cut and then saying, um, like she's cut a few calories, but then she's waking up hungry or she's feeling like she's extremely hungry. So how do you know, like just for anyone that maybe is going into a cut, how do you know, like when, like, because you're obviously going to be hungry if you're eating
Yes.
less. It's
Right.
going to happen. Like you're
It's not
going
going to be fun. A cut shouldn't be fun. That's why you don't want
Right.
to stay in it.
So like what, like talking about biofeedback, like in order to know when people should be able to say like, okay, this is not normal, I'm abnormally hungry, versus like, I'm hungry, but this is normal because I am cutting. Like, because you still are working out. If you're still working out, you're still burning, you know, you're going to be hungry, but you have to like, how are people like know how to balance that? You know what I mean?
Right. So as like Steph said, you're gonna be hungry, right? It's inevitable. It's a cut. You're gonna have to learn how to navigate that. When the hunger hits a point where, like, again, your sleep is affected, you're getting like lightheaded, you know, your you know, we've had hair fall, hair fall out, stuff like that. That's when we really want to talk about it. Um,
Yeah, like I feel like when it starts affecting other things, like you're a little hungry, okay, it makes sense, but if it's really affecting like the rest of
right,
like your, like if it's interfering with your daily life, like
right,
you can't go to work, or like you're at work and it's like you can't focus.
right. And we also have to be like a little bit mentally tough with that, right? Like you're gonna be hungry. Like first we're gonna look at what you're eating, right? Because that's why macro balance is gonna be important. I think I get into that. Like what? Yeah, okay. Do I? Hold on, one moment. Where's my mouse? Oh, realize you're going to be hungry. It's a diet. Right. So I'll go over like that a little bit, but saying like, oh yeah, I'm getting super lightheaded. Like, are you? Are you really? Or you know, I can't even function. Like, we're gonna have to push past the uncomfortable. Like, we're gonna have to get over that. If you're fainting at work, okay, I'll chalk it up to all right where it's actually. But like, um, it's gonna be uncomfortable, and we have to start to realize that. And I think a lot of you are learning this a little bit with working out, right? Like, oh, uncomfortable is nowhere near actually what I'm capable of. And that took me a long time to learn myself. Like I'm still lifting heavier. I am 8 years into my journey and I haven't really grown muscle. I'm just realizing there's this whole untouched level of pain, right? Or uncomfortableness that I didn't think was there. Like I thought I was lifting at an 8 or I was really gassed and I was getting lightheaded on my lifts and I wasn't even close, you know? So like just like I'm telling a lot of my clients this week to just pick up a heavier weight, like that you've never touched before, and just see how many you can get. Right? Like let's say like you're squatting with 15-pound dumbbells. Pick up the 35s just for shits and giggles. I bet you're gonna rep out at least 8, right? Like we're so untouched with how uncomfortable or how much potential we have. And you're gonna have to figure that out too in a cut, right? Like how uncomfortable can you be for what you want? All right, so they're non-negotiables, right? So these are things that are really going to help with cuts. You have to drink your water, right? It's literally going to fill you up. So that's going to help with the I'm feeling hungry part. Fill your belly with water. I would say you can do like seltzers too, because the bubbles, as I'm burping, sorry. The bubbles can fill up your belly, but I don't want you guys to feel bloated or like uncomfortable. So that's like a personal thing. If you get really bloaty on seltzer, you know, don't drink it. If you like it and it like kind of fills you up, drink it. The bubbles will fill your belly more. So water is key. Do not drink your calories. So none of us are going to be in this cut for a long, long time. So do your best to not drink, right? A lot of us are moms here, so we've done it for not well, almost done it for 9 months, you know, here and there. But we've done it for a long time. We're all capable of it. I know it stinks. I know I have my like kryptonite is sun. I just think a sun and a drink is like what's supposed to happen. Like once it gets sunny out, I want to have a drink in my hand. But it's a short time commitment to really focus. And I'm not saying either that it has to be zero, like you have to be sober. I will definitely have like a drink here and there, or like, one day every 2 weeks I'll have something. But the 10 drinks a week, or like, the 5 on a Saturday, they can't happen, because like then you don't realize how much you're negating. You're not in a ginormous deficit. A lot of us are only going to be in the 300 to 400 calorie a day deficit, and 10 drinks throughout the week can be like, 3,000 calories. Okay. So we have to remember that. I suggest not to drink protein shakes. You don't want to drink any of your calories. You want to chew. It starts digestion and it makes you feel fuller. Protein shakes, smoothies, not for cuts. Chew your food. Take time to eat. Go slow. Turn off your phone. Turn off the TV. Be very present in that meal. Let your brain, let your belly know you are eating, right? I know every one of us is probably guilty of eating in front of a TV or eating in front of your phone quick and being like, what the hell? My meal's done. Right? Like you don't even realize you ate it because like you're just doing other things. We don't want that to happen in a cut. We want every part of our body to realize we are eating. We should feel full. Okay. Steps. We want to keep those high. Go ahead, Steph.
No, I also feel like it's, even though you're in a cut, you still have to like meal prep and plan, and probably even more than you do now, because you have to make sure that, if you are hungry and it's time to eat, that you have something so you don't wind up binging on something else or going over what you're supposed to be doing. And like really like being structured, and having your goals, and you're tracking your progress and having your meals. Like I feel like you have to be even more structured in a cut than you would normally. And even doing all these macros and everything, now you're structured, but cutting, it's like even more important to be that way.
Right. And that's another reason why you have to earn it. Because a lot of new clients feel really overwhelmed just with like eating at maintenance. So there's no chance that they can get into a cut right away because they don't even know how to weigh food yet. Right. This is a process. So, or almost like earning the education is another reason why it's very difficult to start in a cut. I know for me, I know that I'm cutting on April 17th. I've been a little lax with my weighing because I'm giving myself a little bit of a mental break before April 17th comes and I weigh everything. Don't get me wrong, I'm still tracking everything and I don't eat that extravagant, so it's pretty easy. But like tonight, I had green beans, chicken thighs, and potatoes. I eyeballed it. Like I knew the whole package of meat was a pound. So I guess I ate 8 ounces because me and my husband split it. And then, green beans, the whole thing was 90 calories. I ate most of it. I gave I didn't weigh it all. That won't happen in a cut, right? You weigh everything. We love steps because again, the more you're stepping, the more you're going to burn, the bigger the gap is going to be. So keep the steps high. You don't want to lower your TDE during your cut. If anything, you want to raise it, right? So don't be like, all right, I'm going to take a slight today. I'm not eating as much, right? We want to keep those steps high. Don't do extra cardio unless I tell you otherwise. You don't want to, I think I talked about this in the first Zoom. If you are like, all right, I'm going into a cut, I'm doing cardio 5 days a week, here we go. And you're doing cardio for 40 minutes, 5 days a week, and the scale's moving, but it's not moving that much. The only other thing we can do is cut your calories more, or I can tell you to do cardio 7 days a week or twice a week, right? We don't want to start the bar up here. We want to see how much weight you can lose with doing the least. Like the cut's not that dramatic and the cardio is not that dramatic because we can always go into it deeper. If you start really, really high, we can only add more. And no one here has time for 90 minutes of cardio a day, right? So don't do extra cardio unless I tell you. Don't like sneak it and not tell me, Jamie Jones. And just again, if you want to get your steps, get your steps. They're not running on the treadmill steps. They're just like walking around your house and going for walks and low heart rate steps. That's fine. But leave that to be assigned if we get into like a rut in the cut. A rut in the cut. Okay. Still strength train, right? We went over that before. We're still going to focus on muscles. We don't just stop lifting and go to cardio because then we're going to lose muscle and be gooey and no one wants that. We are going to focus still on protein. A lot of you are going to see your protein grams are not going to change a lot. They're pretty much going to stay the same. They may go down a tad. I'm going to keep them all around the body weight that you are. They're not going to go. One, we need the protein high to keep the muscle we work so hard for. Two, protein takes the most energy to burn. So why not? If we're going to eat it, let our body burn. And it's super filling, so it fills us up. Okay, so we do not cut protein. There's really never going to be a cut where someone's protein is going to get touched. It's going to be your carbs and it's going to be your fat. Some of my ladies that are eating over body weight. So like I weigh 150, I eat 165 in protein. I might come down a little bit to like 155, but usually no one is going to be below that 0.8 to that 1 gram per body weight. The carbs and the fats are what get touched. Okay, so we have to eat the protein. Do not be under on that. And we have to limit our meals out. You have to, because you don't know what you're eating. Even if you go to restaurants that are in my fitness pal, they don't know how Panera does not know how Susie from New Jersey made that cheddar broccoli soup. Yes, there might be a generic thing that they're supposed to follow, but maybe Susie loves cheese and she threw in another handful that day, right? Like you don't know. So the less meals we eat out, the better. It's more accurate. Okay, so we have to be willing to sacrifice those things. So that's why you have to try and pick good times of your life to do cuts, right? It's all plans. Like I know I was supposed to start on like April 1st, but I love having mimosas on Easter. So I was like, we're gonna postpone that. We're gonna wait till after Easter. And then you have, April, May, and June. Not much in that month, maybe Mother's Day. I'll probably have a drink or two on Mother's Day and eat out. But besides that, I don't have any major events going on. I can commit to this not eating out, cut for a while. So really limit the meals out. If you have to eat out, be boring. Okay. If people make fun of you for getting a grilled chicken and vegetable, flick them off and tell them, too bad. Like, you're not on my team then. Like, you need to pat me on the back for this, not make fun of me. And that's probably why we look different. Right. So if you do have to eat out, stick to super simple, still plan for it ahead of time, save carbs and fat. Do not go ahead and do extra cardio. It will be fine. Do not freak out if the scale's up a little bit the next day. It's just what happens when you eat out. All right. But all that needs to be limited.
I feel like if you're going into a cut, it's just something that you need to know you're going to have to be disciplined with. If it's something that you really want, and maybe if you go into it and you're like, this is not what I want to do right now, maybe it's just not the time.
Right. And a lot can be done at maintenance.
Yeah.
So if you're like, oh, yeah, I'm not committed enough, we can go back to maintenance, but then you also have to realize that you're at maintenance. Like, and then don't bitch about the scale. You can't have everything. You can't go out Friday through Sunday and want to lose weight and want to gain muscle. It's not going to happen, right? Something has to give. So you have to realize what you want, right? I wish you could eat out 4 times a week, have some drinks, and also lose weight. I mean, I guess you could if you just didn't eat the other 5 days, but then your body's falling apart, right?
What
So
is your hobby you really just enjoy? Like on the cardio side of things. Like I'm worried about the cycling, like I look forward to that season and I don't want to say, okay, during cycling season, I'll limit it to twice a week, but like what do
so
you do with that?
so for you, right, we probably won't go into that big of a deficit because you're going to be increasing your TDE. So, like, I have another woman that likes to run, and she's like, I'm not willing to give it up. All right, and that's completely fine. Like, this is supposed to make you happy. I will never tell someone not to. I just want to advise, right? So, the fact that you're going to do long rides on the weekends and one other ride, we just have to account for that in your calories. And I'm going to look at your calories as a week, right? And what you burn over the week, and we'll go into that deficit appropriately. So, because you're going to do a little bit more riding, your deficit's not going to be 600 calories. It's going to be, a little bit lighter because your caloric burn for the week is going to be higher than it has been for the past couple months.
Okay.
Okay. Brooke, you have a question? Or did you just accidentally raise your hand?
don't even, oh yeah, she's raising her hand. Maybe she doesn't know.
Probably one of her kids. All right, Brooke. Well, if you have a question, hit me up. I don't, is there a chat? No, right? Is there?
Nope.
All right.
Nobody's said anything in the chat yet.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Hi.
Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to unmute this thing. I'm really bad at this. What did you say? Your RPE or what did you
Yeah,
say?
your RPE for how your RPE is just like how hard you're lifting. So rate of
Okay.
right. So we're still gonna want to lift heavy, and we're still gonna want to think that we're not probably gonna be. We can still say an 8, right? Like we can still say you should be lifting to 8. And so a lot of you I've been telling lately to go to failure because I don't think your 8s are accurate. So I might still tell you to lift till failure. Our failure is not going to be as strong as it was when we were eating at maintenance, right? Because we're just not gonna have enough as much energy. So we can still try as hard, but it's just probably not gonna be there. But we still want to keep that muscle. And you're not going to lose muscle unless you cut your protein and stop strength training. It's actually pretty, there's been a lot of studies that to maintain the muscle you have, you actually can lift at like a 5 or 6 and like 3 days a week, and you can maintain it. To see growth is different. So, and I think a lot of us still want growth. But yeah, RPE is rate of perceived exertion, aka how hard you're going, which a lot of us still have work to do. Like being on the fact that like I thought mine was great and then I got put in my place real quick, right? Um, it's a hard thing to judge, but you guys will get better as you go.
Okay. I never knew what it meant. I was just like, I saw it on the workouts and I was like, I thought it was rep and you just
Why
spelled it
did you
wrong.
ask me?
I don't know.
You know, Cassie, it was funny the other Tuesday. So Amanda and I do legs together on Tuesday with
Mhm.
John, we were doing leg curls, and I looked over and I was like, "Oh my God, it's at 70!" And she's like, "Oh, I had no idea." And I said, "How many reps did you do?" She goes, 12. And I said, "Well, then I have to do 12." She's like, "You can totally do 12." And I was like stuck at 60. Like I just felt like I thought that 60 was my 8
Mhm.
because I just felt like that was it. But then
Yeah.
I sat down and did 70, 12 reps at 70.
Right, like
And
you
the
went up 10
last
pounds.
two, yeah, yeah, yeah. I went up 10 pounds and like, but I don't even know. And because you know, we switch back, the three of us kind of do a round robin of machines and like accessory stuff in between. John had it and she didn't realize it. And then it was my turn. So it was the same thing for her with the leg presses because I got her to do 300. So
I think that's so funny. Like that happens a lot of times. Like I used to know when I coach CrossFit, people would be going for like PRs and stuff, right? Penny, you've probably seen this all the time. And people are like,
yeah,
what's on this bar? What's on this bar? I'm like, don't fucking worry about it and lift it. And then
yeah,
they do it and they're like, oh, that was 30 pounds over what your PR was. And they're like, oh shit.
yeah,
Right? Like when
yeah.
you don't realize the weight sometimes, that's why I'm gonna like I'm saying it a lot in my weekly check-ins. Just pick up something heavier for shits and giggles. I mean, again, I hope I'm not wrong. It is very unlikely you're going to like hurt yourself. A lot of these movements are on Smith machines, are on
Mhm.
machines, are with dumbbells. Like they're not tricky things. We're not doing CrossFit, right? I'm not telling anyone to clean and jerk 300 pounds. Like we're picking up dumbbells and squatting. Like you're not gonna rip a quad out or a knee from doing that. You're not gonna like pop your shoulder out of place for going heavier on tricep pull downs on the cable machines, right? So challenge yourself. Do something that you didn't think you could, even if you completely fail and you can't move it, right? I've been there. I've been like, oh, this is easy. Let me go up 20 pounds. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, can't even move the damn thing. It happens. And then you get humbled and you go back for a little bit. But you guys are gonna surprise yourself. Like just, oh my God, Anne, how cute is she? Um,
Oh,
no, she's adorable. Okay, so some tips and tricks. Now, these are mine. And obviously, like from people I've heard of too, and the thousands of podcasts I listen to, everyone's gonna have their own tips and tricks. Everyone's gonna have their own things that work for them. But these are some of the things that I say. Eat for volume. So a lot of us do this naturally because we're in a diet mindset all the time. So people who are at maintenance are still eating cauliflower rice, right? People who are at maintenance are still making zoodles instead of pasta because they're afraid of it, right? We're afraid of the rice. We're afraid of the pasta. We should never be afraid of them. why they have such a bad rap is because they're just higher calorie for their density, right? Like you're going to get a cup of rice for a bowl of cauliflower rice.
Hey,
They're
some of us have bad stomachs, CJ.
right. Some of us also poop our brains out and stuff. So
So
you might have to do that too. But for the most part, right, a lot of females eat in a diet mindset just because that's what we're told we should do. Hopefully some of us have gotten out of that. Like we eat apples now and stuff. But um you want to fill your belly up. So this is when I'm a big fan of cauliflower rice and zoodles and veggies. Again, some of these things can bloat you. Like I love Brussels sprouts and raw vegetables when I'm in a cut, but they bloat the daylights out of me. So I know I'm going to be a little uncomfortable if I decide to have those. But zucchini and green beans and squash don't bloat me, and they're just as good for vegetables. So you're going to find the vegetables that work best for you. But load up on veggies, load up on fruit. Okay. Raspberries, blueberries, they're so good for you. 647 bread. I know that's like a kind of bread that's lower calorie. I really like it. I get their English muffins. It saves me 30 calories. It's not the end of the world. I still also eat normal bread sometimes. I just log it. Lean proteins. You're going to go with, chicken breast over chicken thighs, maybe. You're going to go with 97.3 meat over, 80/20, stuff like that. You're going to add back in your spray oils. If you've been adding in olive oil because you have a problem hitting your fat, like I do, you'll probably go back to spray oils. You're going to have the big salads. And now that it's getting hotter out, this is a perfect time, right? You don't really, the stews aren't as, um, you know, mouth-watering as they were in January. Now, like a nice big salad might be great. It's more volume. Something I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten my eating window. So I'm probably going to only start my first meal at like 10 o'clock. If I eat at 6 a.m., I get that engine burning and I'm very hungry. So I know I shorten my eating window. I go from like 10 to 7. This helps me. I'd rather not eat in the morning than, eat. And it's not the end of the world. Yes, like eating breakfast is supposed to be good, but there's some very trusted people that I really enjoy listening to that you're supposed to give your gut a break, right? Like no one is supposed to eat 20 hours a day. No one's supposed to eat 18 hours a day. Like you need to give your gut bacteria a break. It doesn't need to be working all the time. So going 12 to 14 to 16 hours sometimes with no food is actually really good for you. That doesn't mean we want to slug down coffee the first thing we do in the morning. And if you really would like, and honestly, the best thing, and I don't do this, so I'm, a hypocrite, is to eat earlier and stop earlier. Like you're really supposed to eat with daylight, right? That's what our body is used to. So you're supposed to eat when the sun comes up and then you're supposed to stop when the sun goes down. Yes, it's obviously getting lighter longer, but it's better to like eat at 7 a.m. and stop at 5 p.m. I don't like doing that because I like late night eating. So I do, 11 to 8. Okay. But if you don't mind having your breakfast earlier and you want to try and shorten your eating window so you can get more calories in a short amount of time, do that. Play around with it. Okay. If it's not affecting you and you're not like totally dead in the morning or at night or, your lifts aren't as good, but it's something to play around with. Use caffeine to help cravings. I know I'm not telling you to slug coffee all day or tea, but it's an appetite depressant. Okay. It does slow down your hunger. So it helps. Thing I do is I do a lot of half caffs. So I'll do a large decaf mixed with caffeine, like with regular coffee. So I get my caffeine, but it's also not as bad. I have absolutely no idea, and like when I drink it, so I can have more. I can have 2 of those a day rather than, just 1 8-ounce coffee. So that's another trick. Minimize cardio, right? Unless told otherwise, because again, cardio also produces ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone. So you get hungrier when you do cardio, and we don't really want that, right? We don't want to be making ourselves hungrier when we're trying to lose weight. So we don't want to be pumping ghrelin into our systems just to lose calories, but then we're going to be hungrier and we may binge and overeat those calories that we lost. Okay. Drink water with your meals. So have a nice big cup of water or something with your dinner or with your lunch, it'll fill you up quicker. And then get outside. The more you move and you're not staring at your fridge, the less you're going to eat. I think every single one of you knows that on days you're busy, you're not as hungry. And it's because you're not thinking about it. Right? So keep yourself busy. It's nice. The weather's getting nice. Go outside, go for walks. You're not going to knock on a stranger's house and ask them for, to go in their fridge if you're hungry. You're going to keep walking. Okay? So do things. Which is like a silly thing, but it's true. Anything, Steph, or anything, anyone?
CJ, I was just thinking too, like with you like not eating first thing in the morning, I think for majority of people it'll probably be fine, but you just want to make sure with certain people with your blood, like, blood sugar balance, that like some people don't feel well in the morning if they go right to like, coffee, or they don't eat, or their glucose level. So I feel like you would probably know who you are if you are someone who has that issue. um because for you it would probably be best to eat something in the morning, like a high protein with a fat, um just to, like, start your day off. Like, I understand what CJ's saying, but just if you're one of those people that have like blood sugar issues, or your glucose levels drop a little bit, then it might be better for you to start a little earlier in the morning than wait later on.
Exactly. And you got to play around with that, see who you are. Okay. All right. Okay, realize you're going to be hungry, right? It's a diet. That's just how it is. You got to fight through it. It's gonna stink. Don't use it as an excuse. Be like, I was so hungry, so I did all this and I ate 8,000 calories, right? Unfortunately, you can probably undo a whole week of a cut with one crazy binge. So we have to be mentally strong. Okay. Get trigger foods out of your house. And I'm so sick of telling people this. Like, when people are like, oh, I had all these sweets, I just couldn't. Get them fuck out of your house. Like, get them out. Like, do not have them there. Like,
Yeah.
stop trying to be a superhero with willpower. Enough. I'm not. No one is. Like, why do that to yourself? Why have them speaking to you in your pantry? Get them out. And if you are that craving of them that you get in your car and you drive to go get them and you get back, then you know what? You needed it or something. I don't know. But like there's no chance I'm going in my car to go to Stop and Shop right now to go get cookies. Like there's just not happening. Like I'm way too lazy for that. So I'll have Greek yogurt with blueberries instead. I'll be fine. But get the foods out of your house. If your excuse is that, well, my kids like them, too bad. Your 7-year-old can deal with it. Also, your 7-year-old probably shouldn't be eating them either then. And again, also don't get me wrong. My kids have a ton of shit, but it's not stuff that I know that I'm going to be like, ooh, the mini muffins. Ooh, the mini muffins. I could care less about those, right? So get that stuff out. And I'm gonna probably be not nasty, but like if that's something that's breaking up your cut, it's very simple, right? Don't buy it. Plan and prep your meals. Like Coach Steph said, you have to be diligent. If you're not a planner, you have to be now. I'm still going to send out the weekly recipes, but I will also send out my plan for my cut. I'm going to sit down next week and I'm going to make 6 dinners that I'm going to keep the same for the 12 weeks. They're going to be different. Hi, honey. And they're still going to be delicious, but I'm not creating 6 new recipes every week now. It's not happening. I'm not going to want to do it. I'm going to end up getting annoyed and weighing all this food all the time. It's going to make it harder. So I'm going to find 6 recipes that are cut friendly, and I'm going to make them on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday. Okay. They're probably going to be bowls filled with vegetables and a lean meat. And that's it. My breakfast will stay the same, most likely. I'll still meal prep my lunch, but keep things simple. There's no reason to cook anything with more than like 6 ingredients now. It's just not. You don't want to do that. Keep it simple. Save it in your MyFitnessPal so you can just enter it each time. The trickier you make it, the harder it is going to be to stick with it. All right, it's only a phase. You can get back to your luxurious recipes another day. Take pictures and measurements, right? Pictures are going to say a lot. The scale might be not changing as much as you want, but you can still body recomp in a cut. Okay. Just because the scale is not plummeting down doesn't mean it's not changing. And also you have to take ownership for this. The more you bend, the slower it goes. So, and I'm going to call people out on it, right? Like if you're still drinking, if you're still going out, if you're estimating, or you're weighing food with your eyes and not your scale, then that's what's going to happen. You're not going to have this crazy successful cut. If you're super stressed about things and you just like can't relax for a second, the cut's going to go a little bit slower. Okay. You have to manage your stress as well. You have to try and get to sleep. You have to put yourself before some other people right now. Okay. Again, it's all a phase, it's a time period.
But I feel like that was the same with like when you're in maintenance or we're trying to find your macros, or you're trying to like the more lenient you are and not logging or like missing a day or not really tracking accurately, like the longer it takes you to get to your maintenance, then the longer it takes you to get into a cut, or the longer it takes you to see results. So it's like everything, it's really mainly up to you. I mean, you could just say that you're doing all these things, but like eating little things here and there on the side and then not putting it in or not telling us, and then we have no idea, and then we're looking at your numbers and everything and something's not adding up.
Right. And we're also not like dumb. And I don't think anyone on here really like ever does this, but like if you're logging and nothing is changing, something's wrong. And it's not because you're the one person in this world that a diet doesn't work for, right? Like you're eating things that you're not logging, you're not working as hard in the gym. Something's off on your end, unless like there's like a true hormonal sickness going on. And that's very rare when you think about it. So we're gonna see it. Like you're gonna get called out for it. I'm gonna hold you accountable. And again, it's been done to me too. Like there's been times when coaches have been like, things aren't adding up here, and you're like a healthy young adult. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm estimating a little bit too much. So just be honest, right? Like you're only really hurting yourself if you don't log things and you don't follow what you need to.
DJ, I have
Mhm.
a question. There are a couple things that I don't track.
Okay.
So, like, I grab a huge amount of lettuce at lunch. I I know this sounds silly. Like I
Oh, I
use
know.
skinny syrup vanilla that has 0 calories and it's a
No,
pump.
no, no,
I
that's fine.
like gum. I put in 6 sticks of gum, but maybe I have more, maybe I have less. Like there are things I don't track, and I'm wondering, because I do wonder why the scale isn't reacting more, and
Um,
but it's those things that I spray with Pam. I don't count the Pam, but I don't do it for a half hour.
right.
I do it a spray.
No, and I think for the most part, those are all fine. But like you, food labels can, if they're below 10 calories, I think they can round down to 0. So just check, right? If the thing has 3 grams of carbs and it's 0, if you're pumping, 4 of it into your coffee, that might be something you have to log. So just check. The lettuce, you don't have to log. If you want to get super anal about the spray, you could. I'm not going to on my cut. I'm not gonna weigh it.
I wonder if it makes sense though. I try with my protein and carbs to stay 5 up or down, and with my fat 3 up or down. But maybe I should lean into the staying, okay, why don't you always do 5 below? Go for the 5 below, and that way it gives you latitude.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna do things that you don't track, maybe stay with 5 grams below. Or we can just, we can set your cut a little bit more aggressive and then you can continue those habits too. I don't think that's really why, again, unless that syrup is something you're like really but also check yourself. Like you just listed like 4 things, but is it really like 8 or 10 things you're not counting? So that's another thing you have to like self audit. Um, that's something I'm gonna have to do too, for sure. There's things that I just like, meh, and for the most part, they're not adding up to anything significant, but it might be something you want to self audit like the week before you go into your cut. Like, okay, wait, I haven't really been logging that. Let me just check the label. Could it be, 20 calories a day, which again isn't the end of the world. It's 140 calories a week, but you just want to make sure that you're not missing anything, or that none of your things like on the nutrition label, right, are just counting fiber, right? I would definitely like the week before you cut, just dive into those things a little bit more, be a little bit more nitpicky with what you're logging just to make sure it adds up. Because I think like there's multiple times that people are like, I realized I was logging my rice wrong, or I looked at this wrap wrong, and it's been like years. So just yeah, self audit a little bit there.
And also my other question, sorry, is when you say you're in like a mini cut, does that mean it's not as aggressive you would if you were in a real cut, or are you talking time wise?
So that could be both. Like a mini cut could just be like you're not high enough really to like drastically change your calories, or we'll do mini cuts like before vacations, like 2 weeks of pretty aggressive, but then they're coming out of it on the vacation. So mini can be a time frame, or it can be like a calorie cut. I'm not a fan of mini cuts in the sense of like you're eating 1,800 calories, let's drop you to 16. I I think there's too much human error in the fact that if it's only 200 calories of a cut, people are going to mess up and it's probably only going to be like 120 and they're not going to see the change they think they should be. I'm way more for the aggressive cut. You feel like you're more in the game, you have a little bit more leniency. You should see if you're mentally strong enough for that. That's what I would prefer. But like I know a couple of people here, we've done mini cuts for a vacation, and stuff like that. Or like if you refuse to push your maintenance and you're only eating 1,700 calories, it's going to be a mini cut because I'm not dropping you below 1,500. So, unless you're Jen, she's a 1,450. But she has a bionic heart, she doesn't count. Okay, I think that's it. All right, so that was it for my little slides. Does anyone have any like questions? Oh, Jen had asked me a question about creatine, and I'm just going to share it to the group because it's always good to her because I'm sure other people have questions about this. There's no supplements that I really like think that you should get on for a cut. But I do think creatine is something that you should be on always. It's like the number one thing I'll suggest. There's literally no side effects for it. It's naturally made in your body. It's just that we don't have enough of it. It's one of the cheapest supplements. It's the most studied supplement out there. It helps with, brain function, cognitive. It helps with recovery. It helps with sleep. It helps with muscle growth, everything. It's going to help retain the muscle. It's the only, and this is not a downside at all, but because a lot of us are scale obsessed, because it helps with recovery, it holds water in your muscles a little bit. So the scale might go up a pound or so. That didn't happen to me. It may happen for some people, but I would definitely recommend going on creatine just for life. Not because you're necessarily in a cut. I will do it for cut maintenance. And if I ever get into a bulk, I don't think you're going to need pre-workouts because you're going to be so tired. If you're that tired that you can't even work out, your biofeedback shit and we need to get out of the cut.
Yeah, I feel like if you need pre-workout, you're not eating right, or you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing to like have that energy. Like I feel like so many students tell me like, what pre-workout should I take? And I'm like, how about you just eat right instead of eating a donut for lunch?
Right. And Steph makes fun of me too sometimes. I will bring coffee to the gym, especially in the summer. And that's not necessarily because I think the caffeine like jolts me. It's because I just like sipping, I call it lattes and lifting. And it just makes me feel cooler to have a coffee while I lift. I feel like people are like, she's weird. So that's why I do that. But
Cramp up
coffee,
so drank that when
what?
I would cramp up so bad if I drank that as I was lifting. I could never do.
I could slug it. But yeah, again, if you like pre-workout's more of a mental thing for you, that's fine. I wouldn't suggest, but I wouldn't say get on it for the cut. I don't think you're just like gonna fall into a deficiency. Like you shouldn't all of a sudden become like anemic because you're not eating enough. Again, that's a thing we have to look at with your food choices. Fiber, we obviously want high, right? Because it keeps us full still. And then but I wouldn't say to add any specific supplements just for a cut. Any other questions?
Yeah, where do you find your BMR? Am I saying that right? BMR?
Yeah,
On the
you could literally just
on
like
the
so
on the
oh
paperwork.
on the in body, it should be like on
Yeah.
the top right, I think, or like in the middle right. It's a tiny column on the right side.
It should be right above the visceral fat.
Oh, that lovely one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So and it should be, I'm assuming like between 14 and like 1,500 for most people. So I'll just show like an example of one. I can't move my screen.
Oh, I see it.
See it?
So it's a, oh, okay.
BMR. Right. So
Yep.
I'm 3,
It
4.
says fit your research perimeters.
There you go. Yeah. So
Right.
female 5'3", like 151. All right, so 1350 a day would be its suggestion. Like that's what it would think. But like if I was to add my body fat, which is 20% actually, there you go. So right, it goes up, right? So that's a good example, right? So it didn't guess my body fat. I put in that was 20%. Now I'm at 1,500 calories. So I should never eat below that. My cut will not be below 1,500 calories. It better not be.
How much usually like cut a client? Like
So-
how, because you said like you would not, like 200 calories is not like sufficient enough. Like you're
No,
like,
so
that's
500 is like my ideal, and that's why I try and push the maintenance higher. Anything even above that's even great if we can. So I would say like 400 to 500 is pretty ideal. If we can get to 700, like I might be at a 700 calorie cut just because I've worked my maintenance high, but 500 is pretty, that's like around a pound a week, which is ideal, right? You don't want to be in it for a long time. You want
Yeah.
to get in and get out, right? So
500 calories is a lot, I feel like.
it is, and we're gonna feel it, right? And but also
Yeah.
realize that like you will adapt, like your body will not be at like the first week or two is gonna be hard. Like you're probably gonna have some brain fog, like you're gonna be hungry, but that's when
Like
we
I enjoy eating all this food.
I know. I literally was talking about that with a couple of people today. I was like, crap, like I I literally texted my coach the other day. I told him that I had that disease where you're so there's a hormone called leptin, and that's your satiating hormone where like it tells you you're full, but some people have an actual disease where like they don't have that hormone. And yeah, I think I'm missing it because
I'm gonna go with that.
yeah, I think that has to be my reason. Like I think I need to get medically diagnosed
I
because
don't get full. Like
no, like it's crazy to me how much food I can put down. But those will adapt. Those will ebb and like they're gonna learn with your body. Again, that's why when you cut your calories for so long, your body slows down. Your body is going to. So the first couple weeks are gonna be hard. But that's why it's awesome that a lot of us are gonna be in this together. And even if you're not in a diet or like most of the group is not, you can still come to the group for support. Find a trick that like when you're really hungry, something you can do to like get your mind off of it. Like go in the shower or like go for a walk. Like be like, okay, I'm really starting to be hungry. I just had my lunch.
you
Like
can
let
brush
that-
because who wants to eat after they brush their teeth?
yes, I used to do that. I used to brush my teeth so I wouldn't have like dessert, but then I was like, I'll just brush them again. I'll just have cleaner teeth. But think of it as a challenge, right? Like I know like I'm a little bit more competitive than some, but it's like a game. Like you're in the game. Having a big deficit, like you want to win, like you want to be in it. And again, realize it's not going to be that long. Also, don't set crazy expectations. You're not dropping 40 pounds in 12 weeks. It's not happening. You're probably not dropping 20 pounds in 12 weeks. You're probably not dropping, you'd be lucky if you drop 12 pounds in 12 weeks. Like lucky. Like I'm hoping for a 12-week cut, I drop like 5. And also realize PSA, when the cut is over and you're at 130 pounds now, that is not where you're going to stay. That is not your maintenance. 132, 133 is probably your maintenance. You do not live at your leanest. So don't see that weight on that number on the scale and be like, good, this is where I'm going to maintain now. Nope, you're going to go up a little bit because you're not going to live in a cut forever. So if you lose 12 in your cut, you're going to probably lose 10 total, and then we'll rework your maintenance because you're lighter, but that can be in like another Zoom, but that's not going to be your happy weight. Okay. So you didn't like fail if you put on 2 pounds after your cut. That's exactly what's supposed to happen.
Is the whole, I know this is such a probably stupid question. It's like obvious, but like, is the whole point of the cut to lose weight? Like, yeah, but like if you're only gonna be losing, like you said, like 5 pounds, then like what's the point of cutting?
Right. So that's exactly why I quit in January, right? Because I was like, I want to lose like 3 pounds. Why am I here? I'd rather be growing muscle, right? So I want to lose body fat, right? So I want to get down to like 17% or something like that, which is not, but if we're all at like different points. So for me, I'm not going to lose a ton of weight, but it's going to be mostly body fat. Most of you will hopefully lose about a pound a week, maybe even a little bit more, and then it's totally worth it. I just want to like trim up, I guess, but you're right. It's really the more happy you are with your body, you don't ever have to cut again, right? Like, and that's like the goal. Like, if I wasn't like after I had the kids, I cut more often because I wasn't happy. Now that I'm okay, I'm cutting maybe once a year for 12 weeks. So it's also like a cool challenge just to kind of see, but hopefully everyone here loses the 0.5 to 1.5 a week. That's the goal.
Okay, cool.
No. Anyone else? And I'm also going to try and give you guys your macros a week ahead. So just remind me on your next check-in. Like, I'm cutting next for like what we talk about, and even just text me, because I know I hate, this is like one of my biggest pet peeves, that like I would start my cut, but I'd be prepped for the week already. And then I have to like cut things out and do, so I want to give you your macros the week before your cut starts so you can prep ahead of time. All right. So just if I don't, just remind me, because I have people starting on the 10th and then the 17th, and then I have people in May. And then I have people who have a long way to go, but just remind me. And if it's not your turn and you ask me anyway, I'm going to tell you it's not your turn.
So are we all doing like 8? Are we doing all doing a 12-week cut?
That's like probably the long, it's about 12 weeks this summer. That's why I said that. But no, if like some of you guys shred weight in the beginning and then you're like, I'm good, then we'll stop. If some of you takes long, it's like, that's like what the estimate is. I'm not going to have you guys go a lot longer than that unless again, everything feels okay. But that's just like that's the guess, right? It's gonna ebb and flow for everyone.
Okay.
Some people might be like me, quit in 2 weeks. So, but try not to. Don't leave.
It was always hard too with, barbecues and,
I know.
and we do camping a lot and trips and getting togethers.
Right. So I don't want people cutting in the summer is very hard. So that's why I said 12 weeks. So we would be done by July 1st. And then we try and maintain leanness. And there's and I'm going to do a whole, probably like not the best coaching advice on how to maintain in the summer with social events. We are not trying to lose weight in the summer. It's too hard. It wouldn't be fun. You'd regret it. I know, like, especially people here, we love our summer on Long Island. So I'll try and teach you guys how to maintain a physique in the summer while also attending social events and stuff.
And once we cut, will we be going back to the same maintenance calories?
No, so like, let's say you lose 20 pounds, your maintenance is going to change now because you're literally burning less weight because you have less weight on you. So I'm going to have to redo your maintenance calories.
Okay. All right.
And for the most part, you guys are probably just going to jump back to that. I'm not going to reverse you back because it's pointless. But that's why the scale is probably going to go up a pound or 2 with your like new comfy maintenance weight.
Right. And now, as you know, I'm going away in like 3 weeks.
Right.
So
we're going to use that as like a diet break in a sense of like, you're not going to track, you're going to enjoy it, but you're going to come back and we're going to put you right back into the cut. It's just going to be like a mental, and it's, again, you're not going to go buck wild. Yeah, you're going to enjoy it, which you should. Your cut just might go like 2 weeks later into July.
Okay. Because
So,
I'm honestly nervous about going away.
No, we want to enjoy it. And like, yeah.
I know. I said to my husband about bringing a scale. he said he was going to leave us home.
People bring it, but do not bring it out to a restaurant. If you're at home, like if you're in like a hotel or a house or something, use it. But if you go out to eat and stuff, do not bring it in your purse.
Well, I'm going to an all-inclusive, so I figured I'd put it in my beach bag.
No, fucking
yourself.
I really am being very conscious about this. I guess
honestly, if you eat 3,000 calories a day, how long are you going away for? 10 days?
Yeah, like 10
Okay,
days.
so your maintenance right now is 2,000. So that's only 1,000 calories over a day. That amounts to like, maybe the worst you could do is put on 4 pounds. And that's like if you're going hard and not walking, and that's not going to happen.
No, I doubt I'm gonna be doing that many calories. I'm
Right.
pretty,
You're
I'm
probably going to be on mostly of a liquid diet. That's what everyone does on vacation, right?
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
usually gain that much weight because they cut their food so much to make up for the booze.
I
So
just,
actually,
and lunch is normally salads and a protein,
right.
That's what I
Right.
do.
So you're not gonna do that much damage.
Okay, all right, good.
Have fun.
I am. I'm looking forward to the cut too, so.
Good.
So the drinking thing, like not a drinker. I mean, I do drink on the weekends. I don't really I don't drink a lot. But I have done like things where, okay, try not to drink for 4 weeks. I get 2.5 weeks, and then like if someone gives me tequila and forget it, it's out the window, and like I'm binging for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah,
So
I don't think we should like go a hard sober. A hard no on anything, I don't think is good.
Okay.
So my advice to some people before, and this might be like Alcoholics Anonymous advice, is why have one drink, right? You drink to get like a little like lightened up, right? So one drink, unless you're like a super lightweight and super skinny, is not going to do anything, right? So the one glass of wine is kind of a waste in a sense of the fact that it's 140 calories and you feel the same, right? If I'm going to drink, I want to get a little, like, I want to feel it a little bit. I don't want to get sloshed, but I want to get like, what buzz, right?
buzz.
So I'm not going to have one drink for dinner. I'm going to have every 2 weeks, maybe I'll have 3 tequila sodas on a Saturday and get to feel that. So that's how I look at it. Like, I'm not just going to have a beer. Like, why do that? Again, if you would rather do a drink at dinner rather than like the 3 tequila sodas at a bar, then that's fine. But pick your one or the other. Don't have like a drink at night on Tuesday and Thursday and then also have the drinks at the bar. I would rather get buzzed than just have a glass of wine. It doesn't do anything for me. So that's my method. It might be like, a problem being like, I only drink to get drunk, but whatever.
No. I know. I just, because, with John and his gigs, like I drink usually at the gigs, and I have a wedding and my brother's visiting. And it's like when my brother visits for the weekend, I'm not doing anything. He's a chef. So there's no way that I can like,
wow, that's nice.
Yeah. The stuff that he makes. I'm sure if I told him I wanted to weigh and measure it, he would do it for me, but I'm just gonna let him do his thing.
No, and that's exactly the same methods that we take now. When you know you're going to drink or you're going to have a meal that's trickier to log, save every calorie you can for that event, right? Like when I went out for my birthday, I had my plate of egg whites, and then everything else was margaritas. Also, get Invisalign. I didn't eat one thing at my damn birthday because I didn't want to take my teeth out in public. So I just drank. So that also was not great, but I didn't eat nachos. I didn't have fajitas. I didn't have tacos until Taco Bell. But if you want Invisalign during a cut, perfect time to get them.
That's funny. All right. I mean, I'm excited to cut, like I did when I lost all that weight. I know I only lost all that weight because I was running like,
right.
I was doing 3 miles a day, then a CrossFit workout, then another run. Like I know that. And when I was putting weight on, I knew it was because I'm not exercising like I was before. I'm not running like I was before. I'm not doing all that cardio like I was before. Right. So like I knew that was why I was putting on weight. Yeah. I knew that's why I was putting on weight, but like I never really, and my macros were never programmed properly for all the workouts that I was doing.
Right.
So
we want to be the laziest fit people.
Yeah. Yes.
We want to do as little as we can. So if we ever need to increase, we can while maintaining a normal life, right? We're all effing busy here. No one here just like sits on their couch and was like, what should I do now? Right? Like we have shit to do. We want to make it sustainable.
Yeah.
Right.
When you say, okay, like for a cut, like obviously limit your eating out and like, but like, what about, like you say, like, okay, you can't track Chick-fil-A because people can, put more cheese, whatever. Right. Like, what about like redefined meals, like meal prep places?
No,
those
are like more? I think they're safer. I don't think they're 100% because I've caught errors. Like I used to do Healthy Meals Direct, and then I caught 1,000 things wrong with their macros. I'd say you could trust those like 95%, which is fine. I will
Okay.
probably be doing some of those as well. I'll probably stock like 10 of those in my freezer for the, oh shit, what do I do now meals, right? So I will definitely have those in my fridge too. And again,
Cool.
just check them too. Sometimes the math is off. Like you're like, wait a second. So just check them. But no, that's another, actually that should have been on there. Thanks. Get pre-made meals for your what now, your oh shoot moments, right? If you have those in your fridge or your freezer, you never have an excuse. You can't be like, I got home so late, I just landed in a face full of Crunchwrap Supremes. Like, no, you had meals in your freezer, right? Set yourself up for success. We're all smart people here. The excuse of like I couldn't figure it out just won't work.
Yeah, I feel like the importance of prepping at that moment, because that's where I would find myself probably a weakness when I was coaching and getting home at like 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, what am I eating?
Mhm.
So have that available.
Next week we'll go back to like a normal Zoom. You guys can ask questions, but we can always cover more stuff on this as well. Like an update on how everyone's doing. Even though I think most of us are starting in like a week or two. But eat those calories now. Don't go buck wild, but definitely push the higher end of your maintenance right now. Get that body burning, right? So I know I'm pushing like 2,500 calories these next 2 weeks just to get that fuel going.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you for this. These meetings, the Zoom meetings are like really, really helpful.
Awesome.
So,
I love that. I'm
like,
so glad you guys come. I love seeing everybody. So
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to see everybody's face.
I know. Hopefully people, I think more people wanted to come, but they'll just listen to it and that's fine.
Yeah.
So hi everybody else.
I know Amanda said she wanted to come, but she's at her dad's retirement party.
Oh, that's
So,
exciting.
Oh, that's nice. though.
yeah.
What'd you make?
I had Kevin listen with while we were eating dinner.
Tell Kevin to eat more damn
He,
food.
he was shocked that you ate 2,400 calories a day. I was like,
Yeah, most people are.
and her maintenance is probably, or like her cut's gonna be 2,000. I said, she eats more than you.
Oh yeah, I eat more than a lot of dudes.
Yeah. I was like, and he was so happy that he ate 2 servings of dinner tonight.
My husband's mom the other day, while she was watching me eat dinner, and she was like, "So you can just like keep going back up for more servings?" I was like, "Yes, I can."
Yeah. Now my coworker's always like, "You're eating again?" I'm like, yeah, this is
How,
my.
right. How unhappy must they be, right? Oh God, they must be.
So like I have like 2 breakfasts.
Yeah.
I have like my breakfast at home and then I have my oatmeal at work. I'm like, my mid-morning snack.
Yep, I agree.
You need that.
Yeah.
Very
But might
important.
not be able to have that in a couple of weeks, but that's okay. We'll figure that out.
But I will tell you, like prepping food is key.
Yep.
Like breakfast, because the baby woke up at 4:30 this morning. Yeah. And
Oh, boy.
finally like went back to bed with me at like 5:30. I woke up at 6:45. I have to be at work at 8:30. So I had everything. I ate. I had like my frozen egg burrito and I had my egg whites. No,
Perfect.
not my oatmeal.
It really is. It's so, and I love when it's like usually like week 3 or week 4 when I get that like text or like that check-in, like, wow, prepping really makes a difference. I'm like, there it is. All right,
Yeah.
we got her. But it does,
Yeah.
unless you're home and then like it's just staples, right? Like if you work from home and like you have more time, then just having the things in your house with a plan is plenty fine. But that's even, I mean, you got my stupid like post the other day, like that's even prepping and planning. So just different for everyone, but it does make a difference. But all right. Oh my God, Rory, it's almost 9 o'clock, you wild animal. Can you say goodbye to everyone?
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Have
Thank you.
a great night.
Oh, bye, guys.
Bye.
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 I
It doesn't smell like tacky. Come on.